Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I want to update you all. It's been a couple of days since I've done a video on YouTube. I've done some practicing on Twitch streaming as well, so you can join me on Twitch as well as Babyface Nelson 1981, and you can see some live streams, even talk to me while I'm playing games as well, and just give me a feedback, so live feedback. And yeah, just I'm gonna still do YouTube videos as well, and yeah, just gonna go through all the updates of my games and good and bad ones like I've been doing on YouTube. Probably shorter videos. And then on Twitch, I'll be streaming for a couple of hours if you want to try and catch me as well. So definitely Friday and Saturday nights, I'll definitely be trying to stream a couple of hours. And probably the odd chance you might catch me on during the week as well for maybe an hour or two. But yeah, anyway, guys, just to update on my game. I got up to as 1308 new peak for my Blitz rating. And yeah, so this is the game I'm going to cover tonight. It's a game that I actually first game I lost on since so the build I was building up, and then this is the one that stopped my momentum going upwards. Okay, so this move, this is called. Well, you should be able to tell me by now what this one is. It's the Karakan. Okay, so he's done the opening. So the Karakan's typically just letting white open up and getting the center for you against you. But then I changed it towards the modern. So I've been doing the modern a lot with the as black. So I've been staying away from the Karakan as much. Okay, so we're finding the best moves for the opening at the moment. And our opponent's sort of doing weird moves at the moment. So sort of trapping his bishop in. And also his pawn. And probably something you don't want to do in the opening as well. And a lot of openings as white, you can fall into a trap where you line up your minor pieces like this side by side. And the problem with this is sometimes you'll end up having, if you're not paying attention, you'll end up having a black pawn here threatening both. And then the pawn will be defended by that knight. So you've got to be very careful whenever you line up your pieces like that as well. Okay, so he misses to take the pawn. He advances, so he finds another good move. We find a good move. So the tick. So this tick means it's a good move. Okay, so the tick is a good move. So he moves his rook into an open file, or it's still not an open file yet, but he controls more squares. So trying to defend more on this pawn. Okay, so we castle. And he gets another tick. So this is highlighting. This one's highlighting the best move that he should have done. And if you have a look, the thing is, if he takes there, I take there. It's sort of opening up the files. Okay, but it's in favor of him. So we go to attack. This is the best move. But I think this move here is one of my blunders of the game, because what I've told you in the past is you don't want to really move your pawns in front of the king. In the modern, you sort of get away with it because it's like that, and you have your duck square bishop. So in these openings where you've got the duck square bishop defending your king, you don't want to ever lose this piece. It can be like a big disaster, especially if they've still got the dark square bishop in front. Okay, so yeah, try not to move your pawns in front of your king. So he moves away, he finds another good move. So this was another good move, but this was an alternative. So we go for an advance. So as you can see, I'm starting to really weaken up. So this is what we need to start thinking about in our games now. So when we do pawn moves, what are we actually doing? So moving here, we are attacking, but at the same time, we're starting to weaken up our light squares in front of the king. Okay, so this one thing, there's a light square bishop right there. If he wasn't on the board and there's no queen on the board, diagonals aren't as they're not as scary having open, but in this case, all the pieces are still here, so it is getting scary. Okay, so he sacrifices a knight, I take, and he takes. All of a sudden, I've only got one pawn in front of my king. I've got a knight and a bishop, so in front of my king. So it's not the end of the world, and I'm defending the knight now. And he goes with the knight in front. So it's only a good move. It's not the best move. It actually still favours me at this chance. So because we're up in material at the moment, we're up a pawn, up a knight, and he's up. He's only taken 2 pawns, so we're up in materials. So we find the best move again. So find the rook. Okay, so we're trying to open up the center a little bit. If we're planning to open up the center here, or at least on this diagonal, we need to at least have the rook coming here as well. So think about when you're opening up files, you really need your rook there and not theirs, okay? So he moves, he blocks the pawn anyway, and he targets to pin the king as well. So we need to always keep an eye on what our opponent's doing as well. Okay, so he moves his pawn forward. The computer doesn't like that. You can actually take your time and actually try and work out why the computer doesn't like that. Probably because if we go here, we're actually threatening the bishop as well. So, and it's just opening up the board for him and for us. Okay, so he can move forward, and he moves his queen down, so finishing his development. Our bishop here is a little bit funny as well. So, we're trying to get rid of this bishop as well, and often in this scenario we often see the bishop and queen target this piece all the time. So this is why in the opening, especially in the modern or the King's Indian, or especially the modern, you move your rook to the side, so it gives your opponent, or gives your bishop a free piece to move back, so a free space to move back, because if he goes here and the rook's here, we move the bishop, he takes the rook. So when we do here, we actually avoid that. So okay, he comes down. This is a blunder, my first blunder. Why is it a blunder? Because we don't want to give up this piece, but we also wanted to take that as well. So okay, so he takes the rook. That's what was a blunder, because it just, I've fallen asleep behind the wheel, and yeah, I've just not even pre-moved. I would have moved this, probably tired or something, not playing great, and we trade. So that's probably where I lost the game, or at least it started to go bad for me. Okay, so we're just trading pieces now. He's ahead material. I still got this lovely bishop doing nothing, because it's not lovely. Anyway, we're trying to get the bishop out, and he's not letting me out. He wants to trade pieces, so this is probably me moving my rook here. I wanted to control this file to try and stop checkmates, because the queen and the rook was here. The queen wants to go here for checkmate, so we stopped that. We traded. We don't really want to trade it this time, because at the end game, with an open board, his rook's more powerful than my bishop and knight. Purely for the fact is, this can control more, or not can it control more squares, but when the board is open, it can move along, it can move a lot faster, and it's a lot stronger, being able to use, more efficient working on its own. With these two, it takes a lot more time to prepare to work together. So, okay. So he checks me again. So he's really irritating me in this game. Okay, so this is another blunder. I should have taken the pawn and put some pressure on the rook. And then I could have taken here as well. So, you know, I also had this move as well. So even though I gave up the rook earlier, and we did trade 5 for 3, it was a blunder, but it probably wasn't the worst blunder of all. So sometimes you have these blunders where it totally destroys your game. I don't believe that totally destroyed my game. It actually hurt my end game, but we could still play on. Okay, so he takes. And we've got this move here, still to take this pawn. And we're still trying to get this bishop into the game. The whole game so far, this bishop has done nothing. So in your games, make sure your pieces are active, because clearly having this bishop inactive and it's not traded is definitely hurting me at the moment. So we traded the queens, and we didn't want to trade queens because what I said before. So he moves forward. Now he's got 2 passed pawns. So this is dangerous. So in the end game, you want to promote all your pawns. Okay, so we move forward. And you see it's starting to get a little bit harder for us to get our pieces active with what we've got. So we wanted to try and get our king active. His king got out first. and he's just pushing his pawns forward. And then this was probably the move. That was a good move, where I pinned his rook to his king and he couldn't move, so he could just take. But the computer didn't like it because of all the pawn advantages our opponent has. So look at all the pawns on the board. He's still got 8 pawns, and this is insane, this game. So we've only got 3 and a knight. So it's good luck to me trying to stop all these pawns from promoting. And as you see, there's no chance. And that was a blunder as well. So the king can easily go here. And also, yeah, just... And it was in that time that we resigned, because there's just no chance. Okay, and that's the end of the game, and that's the end of the video. And if you want to catch me on Twitch, I'll be streaming after. And yeah, so it's just trying to do it on a weekly basis, so a couple of nights a week streaming. And I'll try and keep my YouTube videos up every night as well. Okay, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye.